Hello everyone. So this video is going to be an introduction to chapter 2, which is titled Introduction to Rhythm. So rhythm is a very key component to music. You have to be able to feel that and to hear it specifically. So your textbook defines note value as the specific duration of a note. So how long we hold a note out. There are 5 notes that your textbook covers: the whole note, the half note, the quarter note, the eighth note, and the 16th note. So those are all related in some way. So the whole note is worth 4 beats. I'm doing that because it looks like that. The whole note's worth 4 beats, and then we also have rests that go along with those. We'll talk about those in just a second. If you look at the top of page 30, it'll show you exactly how those notes look. And so the whole note does not have a stem, it just has a note head. So there's specific parts of any note that you write on the staff or write for music purposes. The whole note just has the note head. The half note has an open note head and a stem. So we've got note head and we're adding a stem. The quarter note has a filled in note head with a stem. And then the eighth note has filled in note head, stem, and a flag. And then the 16th note is the same, except we have 2 flags on that one. So that tells us it's a 16th note. So anytime you see these notes anywhere, they're pretty much always going to have those values for this textbook anyway. So one key thing that I wanted to note about the 8th note right here, this is also on the bottom of page 30. If you have 2 8th notes together, you can beam them. So that is another part of the note, like the parts of writing a note. If you guys will please complete the activity on page 31 right here, where you have to write 4 of each of the following notes. That would be awesome, and scan that in for me. I also wanted to talk about, which is I think on the next page, the dotted and tied notes. So we have something called the augmentation dot, which we add to the side of we can add to the side of a note, and that's going to add half that note's value. So if we have a dotted half note, so we've got that open note head, I'll show you right here. We've got the open note head and the stem. If we add a dot on the side of that, it's going to add half of that note's value. So a half note's worth 2 beats. So if we divide that in half, that's 1. So we're going to add 1 beat to that note, and that would be 3 beats total. And we call that a dotted half note. So you can do that to any note. But usually you'll see it on the half note or the quarter note. I think your textbook also uses the example of a quarter note. Yeah, a dotted quarter note. So it is the dotted quarter note on the bottom of page 33 is a quarter note plus an eighth note, and that's going to be the total value of that. So accompanying each note is a rest, and the rest is just like silence for however many beats it corresponds to that rest. So the whole rest looks like a hole in the ground. That's how I remember that one, and how I teach my piano students as well, right there. And then the half rest looks like a top hat. That's how I remember that one. So it sits on top of the middle line of the staff. And then a quarter rest looks like a little Z with a C on the bottom of it. You rest for 1 beat, so silence for 1 beat. And then you have the 8th and 16th rests as well. So check those out in your textbook again on page 33. And then I think that's the last thing in this chapter is the tie. So a tie is a curved line that connects 2 notes of the same pitch, and they're to be sounded as 1 note. So you just add those 2 notes together and hold those out for however that long that duration is. So the first example in your textbook is a half note and a quarter note. So 2 beats plus 3, or plus 1, sorry, equals 3. So that's what the tie does. Now the key to the tie is it has to be the same note, because we have another line in music that's called a slur, and we don't want to get those confused. So remember, to be tied together, to hold out for the length of both notes, it needs to be the same note. And I think that covers this chapter. Like I said, it was pretty short. Please check the assignment on Canvas, the workbook assignment on Canvas, and let me know if you have any questions. I will try to be more on the ball about keeping those discussions and those assignments up and have them ready when they need to be. So thank you all so much, and I hope you have a great week.